let's reveal the truth of this notary game. When all 9 of us awoke after being knocked out, we were greeted by a person on TV wearing a mask. They called themselves Zero and pitted us against each other in a game of life and death, all on a bid to obtain the facility's 5 key cards and escape. While this was a game where cooperation was possible, what we didn't realize was that one of the participants was already set in place to make sure we turned against each other. We split up, with Tagami, Seven, and Joshua going to the light blue sector, Donald and Monokuma to the green sector, and Kameda, the blackened, and myself to the yellow sector. We were forced to solve some tough puzzles while we were there, one of which involved an infuriatingly difficult game of Frogger. With my mind fully immersed in the game, Kameda looking in the other room, the blackened saw a prime opportunity. They snuck over to one of the many secret doors in throughout the facility and used a special key that they obtained before the game began to open it. From there, they made their way over to the light blue sector where Tagami's group was.
At this time, Joshua was investigating the cafeteria, Seven the pantry, and myself the kitchen. Using my vast wealth of knowledge, I was deciphering the meaning behind a certain cryptic door. The blackened emerged from the hidden passageway just out of my line of sight. They carefully grabbed the knife from the countertop and snuck over to the pantry where Seven was searching. Since the blackened already had knowledge of each person's forbidden action, they knew exactly what they needed to do. With knife in hand, they quietly approached Seven, then plunged the blade deep into his backside. With nowhere to run, Seven reflexively turned around and assaulted his attacker, just as the blackened hoped he would. Because Seven triggered his forbidden action, the poison from his device shot into his system, immediately paralyzing him and leaving him helpless on the ground. The attacker removed Seven's device and quickly returned the way they came, through the passageway into the arcade, with Jockey none the wiser. After Joshua discovered his body, I was mistakenly identified as the killer and kept locked up in the kitchen.
While Kameda guarded Tagami, the blackened and I traveled to the northern sector to search for the next key card and also Moshirige. We came across an office full of documents Zero had collected from the council members. As I entered the room, the blackened stayed behind, shutting and locking the door behind me and leaving me stranded. They then wandered off alone to the parking garage, where they encountered Moshirige.
The blackened and I wandered down to the end of the parking garage, where we were met with a wicked obstacle from Zero. He activated a wall of spikes to chase us to the other end. The blackened triggered a trap that prevented them from walking, leaving me to carry them to the other end. After narrowly avoiding the wall, I felt a sudden pain in my head and collapsed to the floor. With the paralysis having worn off, the blackened took this chance and traveled through the secret tunnel to the western sector.
Around this time, Joshua was also heading over to the western sector with the paint-covered picture from the cafeteria in tow. He headed to the conference room, where he discovered just what he needed, paint remover. Upon removing the paint, he discovered the identities of the original 5, information that he knew was invaluable. He ran off to tell the others what he discovered, only to be met with the blackened, who ambushed him from the shadows. They pushed Joshua against the walls of the narrow passage, knowing full well that such a move would trigger his forbidden action. Joshua collapsed to the ground once the poison was injected, and the blackened removed his device, leaving Joshua to his fate.
Mono Bear and I were investigating the weird Gizmo room just across the hall while this was happening. The bear had just set me free from the incinerator, only to knock me out with one of the drones moments later. He must have wandered off to the conference room afterwards, where he encountered the blackened. I can't say for certain what happened between Mono Bear and the blackened, but one thing's for certain, the bear had the last laugh. The detonation of the bomb in Mono Bear's body blasted the blackened across the room, injuring their right leg. I awoke to the sound of the explosion echoing down the hall. When I went to go investigate, I found His Majesty's destroyed body. I was so distraught that I didn't notice the killer, still in the room, get up and approach me from behind. They knocked me out with a swift strike to the head, before quickly leaving the room.
The
Blackened then limped back the way they came, hoping that the explosion didn't wake Moshirige before they returned. In their hurry, they didn't notice a piece of their clothing getting caught in the edges of the secret door, a mistake that would prove to be their undoing. They returned to the parking garage just moments before Moshirige regained consciousness. With the Blackened carried by Moshirige, the two of them left for the western sector to investigate the explosion, where they met up with Shocking Group just as they were piecing together what had happened. The Blackened, sensing that the tide was turning against Moshirige, silently slid the two devices they got from Joshua and Seven into Moshirige's pockets, giving them all the ammunition they needed to condemn him.
We've played into your hands for the entirety of this game, like puppets on a string, but no more.
I will forgive you for what you did to His Highness, and for killing Big Guy and Douchey. Miurishina, whoever you are, we won't allow you to kill any more of our colleagues. This game of life and death, this notary game, it all ends right now.